Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Low-Key, Low-Tech Captain Logan Show. I am Captain Logan. Joining me tonight, as always, is my producer and wonderful chat moderator, DJ Martinez. Greetings, DJ.
Hey, how's it going?
DJ is broadcasting from his house, where he always is broadcasting from. I am broadcasting this evening from Branson, Missouri. As I said last week, I am on vacation this week, and I'm at a big dance competition. I mean, I'm not at the competition right now. I'm in a hotel room, but I'm here for a dance competition that my son is in, and we decided to use that excuse to have a family trip this week, and so that's what we're doing. And I promised to do a show this week, actually 2 shows this week, from somewhere in Branson, Missouri, and that somewhere is just this hotel room where we are. That's where I'm broadcasting from. So anyway, I wanted to make sure and take some time out and chat with you guys like we do every week. Welcome. Thanks for being here. I am, as I said, working kind of low-key tonight, not doing the OBS thing. DJ and I miraculously managed to make Hangouts work tonight. At one time I had said YouTube changed it so you can't use Hangouts anymore. That does not seem to be the case. They just made it so that we can't use Hangouts hardly at all. We've been having this weird error message that pops up anytime I try to get somebody else on a call. It's very confusing. Can't figure it out. Not sure exactly what we're going to do for Hangouts with the patrons monthly. If that keeps happening, I'm not sure what to do about it. But anyway, so I'm on a different computer tonight. Of course, I'm using my wife's work laptop, and it doesn't have OBS, and I couldn't download OBS because it's her work laptop, and she wouldn't let me. So we're doing it this way this evening, and luckily it's working. So blast from the past from like a month and a half ago, we are using Google Hangouts again, and I'm excited to be here and chat with you guys. So I'm going to be bouncing back and forth, looking at comments. I'm not going to have comments as readily available because I've only got one screen, not my crazy 5-screen setup I usually have in the Batcave. This is just the boring cap bunker, we'll call it, the cap bunker. It's got one screen on a laptop, but at least it's got all of my other normal devices, except not my normal lighting. Tonight we just have this one little lamp off to the corner. This lamp right here, can't see it, but here it is. And DJ said it makes me look like I'm in like Jessica Jones' office. But here's what's really weird. I showed DJ this. So this hotel room, it looks like it's really dark in here. It's not. If I turn this off, this is what it looks like. It's like normal hotel room lighting. But when I turn this on, it looks like I'm interrogating myself. So anyway, that's what it's like this evening. So it's going to be harder to look at comments and see what those look like as we're going through this. But yeah, so X-Men show tonight. I wanted to chat about Dark Phoenix spoilers. If anybody has anything specific they want to ask me about the movie, I'll do my level best to remember things that happened in that movie. It's already seeping out of my captivity little brain because it wasn't great. And DJ, I apologize for spoilers with that. You've not seen it, probably.
I have not and don't know if I will, so I'm okay with it.
Maybe he doesn't even care. Yeah. So anyway, no super chat goal tonight, but if you want to make sure that your question gets read on air, you can leave us a super chat, and that donation helps out the channel a lot. We appreciate everybody who does or has ever done that. And if you don't want to do that or you can't, don't worry about it. Just leave a regular comment if you want to chat with us, and we will do as many of those as we can through the show. Doesn't have to all be X-Men, especially in the super chats. If there's any particular news stuff you want me to talk about. Now, I'm on vacation. I was out of town all last weekend also to Arkansas, and have not looked at a lot of news. So a lot of E3 stuff I've not seen yet. I have looked at the couple of superhero trailers we've seen so far, just cursory. Haven't had a lot of time to look into them. You've got the new Avengers game for PS4 and Ultimate Alliance 3. There was a 30-second teaser for. I have looked at both of those, but have not delved deeply into any information that there is about those. I've just seen the trailers for them. But we can talk about that a little bit if anybody wants to talk about that. And for all the pre-written stuff, we will probably just use X-Men questions unless DJ sees something real juicy. And in the meantime, that's the news that's fit to print. Let's go ahead and start jumping right into it. DJ, how's your week been, man?
Oh, it's been great. Super casual, not much. I've been rewatching the Toy Story films. I just bought all of the Blu-rays. They had a new cool set at that look like this at Target. So I bought.
Oh, that's awesome!
Because I didn't have them, so they're all up there now. And we just watched the first one the other day, and I like it a lot more. I never go back to the first one, but I really liked it.
Yeah, I haven't watched that movie in a really long time. It is so interesting to look at the difference between animation from that first to second film.
It's really fun.
And I mean, it's obviously brilliant for its time, but you just see, and just thinking about all the Pixar movies that we've had more recently, just thinking about all of the textures and things that they can more easily render now. And that being so much in your wheelhouse, DJ, I'm sure you notice it even more than I do.
Yeah, it was pretty apparent from the very beginning. But yeah.
Are there scenes in that movie that feel kind of unfinished to you when you go back and look at it?
The humans, especially, like when you see Andy's mom, they don't show her very often, obviously, for good reason, because
Keller Ward says the humans look more plastic than the toys do. That's right. I agree with that.
They look really weird, but yeah, still a great movie.
Are you excited about Toy Story 4, or are you doing your DJ like not looking into anything? You don't even know what's happening with that movie.
I don't know anything about it, but I did listen to an interview today on Collider Live with the director and 2 of the producers at Pixar, and they actually got me excited. They explained why it's more necessary than a lot of people think in a really convincing way, and it was really
good. That's great. Yeah,
you guys check it out. It was good.
Hopefully that ends up being the case. Yeah, because honestly, with all the advertising and everything, it looks kind of superfluous to me. And then I'm looking at all the merchandising, and every toy they've ever made is suddenly back in new packaging, and I'm like, yeah, it's like the Cars movies. It's just an excuse to get that stuff out again and milk it again, and hopefully that does not end up being the case. But just premise-wise, it really kind of feels like that to me.
Yeah, they did a really good job of explaining how they also thought that 3 was the end, but another producer on the movie, a writer, never intended it to be the end. And it is the end of Andy's story, but it's not the end of Woody and the rest of the Toy Story. So I liked it. I thought it was a good interview. It got me kind of excited for it. I still haven't seen the 3rd one, so I'm going to watch that this week for the first time.
Cool. Folks are talking about Men in Black International. I forgot that was coming out this week.
Oh, yeah?
I will see it and review it as soon as humanly possible. Brandon is a giant Men in Black fan, and I know he's going to want to review that with me. So I will see it when I get back. I probably won't see it this weekend. I'll probably wait until I get back. I'll message him tonight and see if I can see it with him maybe Sunday and get a review out as soon as humanly possible. Brandon likes all the Men in Black movies. I think two is not good at all, and 3 is real mediocre. So I expect Brandon will love it. But we'll see. He doesn't seem to be. That seems to be one of those franchises that Brandon loves so much. He's not super critical of. But I want to review it with him because he loves those movies. So we will go check that out ASAP. Yeah. Okay. Should we go ahead and jump into some questions, DJ?
Yeah. We got a ton of questions. I was waiting for a little bit, but now they're flooding in. So we're gonna jump
just pouring in.
Yeah. Here we go. This is specifically for you because you've seen the movie. Because I don't even know what he's talking about. Who's worse, Vuk from Dark Phoenix or Apocalypse? What does he mean by? Is that the person's name?
I don't even know. I'm assuming that's the really generic alien main villain in that. Or maybe that's the name of the alien race. I guess that's the alien race name. Wasn't even sure. I don't know why well, I guess I do. I'm assuming that MCU has access to a lot of the aliens that you would usually use for X-Men stuff. So maybe they have Shi'ar.
Did you hear that?
And they can't use it. What's that?
The news came out today that they released what the original ending was, and it was going to involve Skrulls, but they had to change it.
Oh, and that's okay. Wow. Interesting, though, because that's not even a Dark Phoenix thing.
Yeah, I don't know why they went with them.
As far as I know, I haven't read Dark Phoenix in a long time, but I don't remember Skrulls. Okay.
Yeah, so if that is who he's talking about, what do you think? Apocalypse or that?
It's a toss-up. I would say that alien race, if that's what we're talking about, the Vuk or whatever they are, I would say that now I made them sound Klingon. I would say they are more generic than Apocalypse. So even though he was a big letdown to me compared to comic book Apocalypse, and even more so compared to how interesting his ideology and philosophy seemed from the trailers and then ended up being kind of nothing, I still would say he's more interesting than they were. And I would rather, I mean, it's better performance. So yeah, no, I'd still take Apocalypse over that. Although overall, I still would say I think I enjoyed Dark Phoenix more than Apocalypse, which may be blasphemous, but that's just some of that is just expectations walking in, right? Apocalypse, I had high hopes for and didn't have any reason to expect that it would be as dull and nothing as I felt like it was. And Dark Phoenix, I thought would be the worst thing ever. And it was not the worst thing ever, but it's not good. So, yeah. So
No, I've had some
that's
other people say that they liked it better than Apocalypse.
So that's probably why I enjoyed that more. But if I had walked into Apocalypse somehow knowing that it was going to be a subpar movie, it's probably I don't know. I don't know which of those is a better movie. I would have to sit down and watch them back to back, and I don't want to do that.
I don't blame you. But speaking of Apocalypse, Kellen O'Rourke asks, should Apocalypse be the Thanos of the X-Men movies when they get rebooted?
That is not a bad idea. You certainly could do that. It would be harder to build up to that and get people excited about it. And I think that's difficult to do with a lot of X-Men villains that have already been used in the movies, partly because we've seen them already, regardless of the fact that it's a reboot. So like Thanos was a real unique experience for people. It's a thing that would be very difficult to replicate because those of us that knew what Thanos was, let me conjugate my verbs correctly. Yeah, those of us that knew what the Thanos was were very excited about Thanos, and folks that didn't know anything about him started to get excited because we built it up for so long. Because the Infinity Stones are introduced even earlier as an idea, but Thanos pops up in 2012. We don't see him until years after that. And you had all of that time for comic fans to tell lay people that Thanos is awesome and he's this big deal and explain Infinity Gauntlet and all these different things. And even though that's not exactly the character that we got in that, I think a lot of the reason that that was as successful as it was for Marvel is because of all of that anticipation. I don't know how you do that with any X-Men villains besides maybe Sinister. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if you could get people that excited about any X-Men villains, really, because the thing with Marvel, too, is it was a brand new thing that a lot of folks, at least the Avengers, that a lot of people didn't know anything about at all. So it was brand new. I don't know if you could do that with a reboot. So I don't know if it would be, say, successful, but the idea of using Apocalypse as the big background thing that we are building toward, not a bad idea. I would do it with somebody else, probably. Maybe, as I said, maybe Mr. Sinister. And it felt like we were maybe doing that with the whole Essex thing at the end of Apocalypse. Like that would be the next thing we were building to. And then that didn't happen, even though the Essex house is in Deadpool 2 and nothing is done with Sinister there. We keep bringing up we never do anything with Sinister. And hopefully, surely eventually we get there. I would be very surprised, let me just say this before we move on, if the MCU gave us anybody we've seen before in their first movie, at least for villains. They're going to have to give us X-Men we've seen before because we've used everybody in some capacity, and they're probably going to want to use really popular ones. As far as what heroes to use, if I were them, I would just do something really similar to the 90s team. It'd be the 90s, Fox cartoon team, because I think that's pretty safe, and you can get a lot of people excited about that. And if it's more... That's not the tone we got in the movies. So if you went for that kind of tone in a reboot, it would feel fresh again. And you just have a lot of people on board already because a lot of people are still X-Men fans because of that show. But villain-wise, they'll do what they did with Spider-Man, I think. And already with their first two movies, they've stayed away from anybody that's been used before. I would think Sinister would be maybe the first thing they would do. And I would think they would shy far away from Magneto in the same way, at least in their first film, in the same way they've shied far away from Green Goblin and even Harry Osborn.
Yeah, that makes sense. I would also recommend doing something close to the Ultimate. The first Ultimate lineup was really good, and it was pretty similar to the 90s show. So had Storm,
great idea.
Colossus,
great idea.
Iceman, that kind of stuff. So, yeah, let me jump into another one here. Oh, we got a super chat. Well, a couple super chats. Let me jump over there real quick before they get lost. Tyler Parker asks, thoughts on the Avengers game footage?
I gotta say, I was surprised. Have you looked at that?
Yeah, someone posted it in the society.
That looks like it could be an absolutely epic, wonderfully fun game and real fresh and something we've never really seen before with superhero stuff. I've never played a game like that where you jump from so many different characters' perspectives or that you can maybe play multiplayer. I've heard that there's supposed to be 4-player multiplayer with that. I don't know if that's true. I haven't looked deep into it. I just watched that game footage. And it's hard to tell what you're looking at, how much of it is cutscene stuff and how much of it is actual gameplay. I know some of it is gameplay, but it's difficult to tell what exactly the mechanics of that game are going to be like. So gameplay-wise, I'm excited about it. And it looks like there could be a really cool story there too. I gotta say, I will put myself squarely in the camp that of being a little bummed that it's movie lineup and movie costumes. I was a little surprised by that. And it's a little bit odd if it's not in the MCU that it looks so close to those outfits. And even like their Hulk looks a lot like Mark Ruffalo. They're trying to make it look like that. I guess maybe to bring in the uninitiated. And I've heard people say, well, yeah, but they're going to a lot of comic stuff, so like it's not just movie stuff. No, I get that. It's just the aesthetic of it. I think it's really strange to do something that looks so similar to MCU, but it's not MCU.
Yeah, and Tony Stark was very movie Tony Stark.
Yeah, they all are. I mean, that's movie Black Widow, and yeah.
I did like the voice actor for Black Widow a little.
Which Holly says they have a young Hank Pym. That's pretty cool.
Oh yeah, Dan said something about that in the society. That he
I mean, they're gonna do some cool deep pull stuff, and there's gonna be plenty there for comic fans. I think the reason I'm saying that is because I want to keep with the tradition with some of these superhero games with the big like major tentpole AAA titles, with the Arkham and then the Spider-Man PS4 thing, where it's familiar, it's similar to what you know, but it's also a pretty major reboot, and it goes its own direction and you never know what it'll do. And I think this is going to be like that story-wise. I just wish it was that way aesthetically. I wish we got the video game Avengers versions of the suits that's a little bit different than what we're used to, and to kind of help it to visually carve out its own style.
Mm-hmm. Did you were you reminded of Power Rangers Day at all when they had the big Avengers Day celebration at the beginning of the trailer?
I didn't think of that, but now that you say that, yeah. So yes, of course, it is like Power Rangers Day. Yeah.
Here we go. Got another one. We got a lot of speculation questions today about the X-Men. There's another.
Cool. I can do it. I can speculate. You know what's nice about speculation? There's no right answer.
It's like a literature class in middle school.
Yeah, absolutely. What do you think? Well, yeah. It's like when you're having to read a novel in literature class, and then you get to the end of a chapter, and it's like, write what you think's gonna happen next.
I hated that. Just tell me what the right answer is.
I loved that.
So what's the right answer, Cap? Ultratron563 asks, do you think the MCU will change up Magneto's backstory in order to avoid having a ridiculously elderly version of the character?
They will either do that or, I never thought of this. It could be an X-Men universe that is set in a different time period and then crosses with ours.
Oh, that would be awesome. I would love a 60s X-Men movie. Again,
if they did that, like I said last week, you could have your cake and eat it too. I'm really on this idea now that I thought of last week of, I'm sure I'm not the only person that thought of this, but it hadn't occurred to me until last week. I was like, if you missed the show last week, I said, what if I went for 10 minutes and it was the only original idea I had. Everything else I had mentioned a million times to the channel, because somebody asked me once again, how would you, and please don't ask this again tonight, because I did this last week for 10 minutes. How would you reboot the X-Men in the MCU? And as I was fumbling around for something new, I said, well, what if you in another dimension, because a lot of us are thinking that it's going to be multidimensional and that's how you're going to bring the X-Men into the MCU. What if you did standalone movies that were also in that universe? And so you could have a world set apart where you could do those stories, but then you could have the Avengers world where you also did the stories where they crossed. But what if that world was in the 60s or in the 70s and the X-Men were what they are in the early comics? And maybe more stylized, right? Like stylized more off of those. Maybe we go back to the original 5 X-Men, because people have been wanting that forever. Or what if we just use something similar to the early costumes, and it doesn't matter how silly they look because it's in a whole other universe where the rules are different, right? And then we bring them over to our universe, and you don't have to worry about things like Magneto's backstory is outdated now, because it should be outdated. It's in a different time period. That's what I hope they do, now that I say that. If it's not that, yeah, they'll have to change that backstory, or he'll be stuck in ice like Captain America was, or they'll come up with some way to have him from the past, like aged up to, or not aged up to now, but just like having not aged.
Blue Dragon 5 says, be cool to see FF from the 60s. Would you like that also, or would you like the Fantastic Four in the regular MCU proper?
I think you could do it that way with both. I think it would be cool if they were both from separate universes.
Oh, yeah? That'd be cool.
Here's what I would do. And I'm not trying to get so specific that I'm acting like I'm going to get upset if they don't do precisely these brilliant ideas that I have. What I think they should do is have the X-Men. We're just speculating, right? I think we should. No right answer. This is the right answer, though. I think the X-Men should be in their own universe that doesn't have any other Marvel characters in it. It's just X-Men. It's like if Fox had started differently but didn't have access to any other characters, right? And it's set apart from MCU and it's set apart from any other Marvel thing. The Fantastic Four are like Ultimate FF, where they come from another Marvel universe that has all the characters we're familiar with already, but they're different, they're altered. It's an alternate Earth. I think that'd be really cool. And then you could use some of those characters if you wanted to.
Yeah.
The possibilities, DJ, are endless.
So are the possibilities of questions we can answer, because the super chats are flying in. We just got 3 more as you were speaking.
Well, thanks, folks. We sure appreciate it. We were going to blow through those as quick as possible. That last one, was that a pre-written question?
Yes, it was.
Let's knock out one more pre-written so that we're not shafting those folks, and then get right back to the super chats.
Yes, sir. This should be a fun one. Which X-Men should get, or X-Women? He says X-Man. So he just wants one, I guess. Which X-Man should get a Disney Plus show?
Ooh. Well, my first answer to that is Gambit, because he's gotten shafted so hard. He was supposed to get a movie, and then he didn't have a movie, then he didn't have a movie, then he didn't have a movie, then Disney got the license, or Disney acquired Fox, and now he doesn't have a movie again. So yeah, give it to him. But I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of X-Men characters are certainly worthy of shows. You know, what I would do, again, there's no right answer, but this is the right answer. What I would do is I would give Wolverine a TV show and keep him out of movies for a long time.
Interesting.
Just to mix stuff up, just to shake it up. I think Wolverine, just like all of the X-Men, can work really well on a serialized basis. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, but if you're going to do that, don't make it like a singular show with one X-Man. Do a bunch of it, because the X-Men is such a serialized idea in the first place, and it's so soap opera. Give us an actual soap opera. But if you go back and read solo Wolverine comics, they are just as soap opera as putting 25 X-Men together and having, like, you know, the Wolverine in Japan show would be really cool. I think he's my first choice. You know, real stylized. I like the Wolverine okay, but I think a real stylized Frank Miller-esque Wolverine in Japan show would just be pretty cool.
That would be amazing. Real
Bossa Nova.
Have you
the obvious answer? I think that's the right answer. That's the right answer.
Have you ever read the first issue of Ultimate X-Men?
Say it again.
Have you ever read the first issue of Ultimate X-Men?
It's been a long time. I don't remember what happens.
At the very end, Magneto like calls in. He's like calling in a mercenary, and it cuts to a full page with Wolverine just like standing in a river in the Shadowland with his claws like through an alligator's head. It's amazing. I would love to see before that, where he's just running around in the Shadowland doing crazy
That's
stuff.
Cool. Yeah, a Shadowland show would be insane, right? And very expensive, you know. And it'll be pitched like this to Disney. They won't know anything about Shadowland. It'll be pitched like, well, it's Land of the Lost, but Wolverine's in it, and Fin Fang Foom.
And Sauron with his loincloth. It's amazing.
Sauron! David just sent a message and asked if I think we'll see the yellow spandex. Here's the thing. The first thing I thought of was, well, yeah, right away, right? Like Marvel will. One thing you can say for the MCU is they very often like to pull things straight off the page, or pretty close to straight off the page. And then I thought about it and I went, I think they'll do us one better than that. I think they'll go to the brown.
Oh,
I think when you see Wolverine, the first thing you'll see is the '80s brown,
with the weird, like, they hadn't decided on the horns yet, so they're just like these little spike things.
They won't go that far. It'll be the regular Wolverine mask, but it'll be the brown he had through that, and through what was that during X Factor, and so I forget now. But like up until the yellow got real popular with the cartoon show.
Wendigo. I want to see Wendigo in a movie.
Yeah.
just like the Rhino of the movie, where he just fights Wendigo in the beginning and he's not really a part of the story, but
Ultron says it won't be spandex, but it will be yellow. I don't know. I think they'll do the brown.
I don't know. They don't do a lot of spandex. Even Spider-Man's not spandex.
Oh, I'm with you. It won't be spandex, but it'll be brown before it's yellow. Or maybe that's just wishful thinking. I actually kind of want to see that.
Yeah. I think I kind of like it better than the yellow.
I
don't like the gray and red one. What was that? Where he was gray and red for a while? Have you seen that?
That sounds like Dawkins. Is that not Dawkins?
No. I think it was when he was part of a team, like with Deadpool. He wears like this gray.
Oh, was that him though, or was that because I thought Dawkins was on that team and he wore something kind of like that?
Maybe so, but I think this is before that though.
I think that was Wolverine. Yeah, the X Factor series. Is it X Factor? Or is it X Force?
I don't know.
There's late 2000s, 09, 2010. I think I know what series you're talking about, where Deadpool was on a team, and I'm pretty sure it was Dawkins that was there, and he wore something like that.
Okay. Well,
but I could be wrong. It might be somebody else.
Whoever it is. I'm sure he's worn all kinds of costumes that were not.
No, I wouldn't have liked that as much for Wolverine either, but I'm pretty sure that was a different character, and I thought and I think it was a great suit for that character. But
okay.
If anybody knows what we're talking about, because we're kind of all over the place, a lot of people are saying it's X-Force. Yeah, I thought it was X-Force.
I think Ren Davis is talking about what I'm talking about, which is
it Uncanny X-Force, or was it just X-Force? It's only been 10 years. Somebody just said they think it was X-Files. No, you're a little off on that there. It was not X-Files. Okay, let's get back to Super Chat, shall we?
Yeah, we got two here. We got one from Mr. Roboto.
Let's do it.
Back when we were talking about Thanos, MCU Squirrel Girl defeated Thanos as that be unique. I guess he's asking what we would think of that happening, since that would be unique.
Well, it's unlikely that you get that you get Squirrel Girl in a thing where she's not played up as a joke like Deadpool, and so it would be really difficult to get people behind that idea. Where it's like, oh well, it's sort of that idea that, forgive me, the Last Jedi fans, but it's kind of like the Last Jedi thing where it's like, well, no, it's great because it subverted expectations. Well, yeah, that would subvert expectations, but is it in a satisfying way? Is it a way anybody buys? I don't know. Yeah, I think that's not the thing anybody would ever even think to do. But anyway, let's do another super chat.
All right, we got an amazing super chat from the Day Ghost. Warms my heart. He cracks me up. I don't know if he's the one on the society that keeps making jokes about this also, but if not, these guys are great. He says, $13.99, by the way, super chat.
Wow, amazing. Thanks, man. We sure appreciate it.
Great. Cap, look out. It's the nefarious villain known only as the Welder. Today, he plans on taking over the channel and welding it into his own image. Tomorrow, the world. So
I just don't think we have anything to worry about, because I don't think DJ is like a good welder. I think what we've learned is that if DJ's big aspiration is to be a welder, it's going to take a while, even if he gets great at it. So I don't think we have anything to worry about right now, but he might even find himself just wanting to go back to his day job.
Yes. I would never. That's
for anybody that doesn't know what we're talking about. DJ played a kid being in welding class, not like a guy that welds, but he was an extra in Spider-Man: Homecoming, and folks have decided that he's in the MCU and that his character. We decided last week or the week before that his character goes on to be a welder.
That's me, and it's been 5 years since Homecoming, so I've aged up. And I'm ready for my big entrance. Here we go. I'm going to go one more super chat and then I'll jump back because we have a few stacked up. So we have from T Edge 1, $5 super chat. What would you like to see from an open world X-Men game? Also, is it possible that they don't reboot, but they keep them in their own universe? You are awesome.
Thanks, man. There is no chance of that whatsoever, especially because Feige has basically come out and said they are rebooting. And once again, not to beat a dead horse, but it's real hard not to believe that we're not front loading the multiverse idea real fast and hard in Far From Home, unless it turns out that that's not actually what they're doing, but it sure looks like it is, if it's not to set up some of that stuff. So yeah, there's no possible way that we continue with that, especially after Dark Phoenix. Like, they know that would be a terrible idea. You would just make X-Men movies nobody would want to go see. But as far as an open world X-Men game goes, there are so many cool locales, right? In X-Men, wouldn't it be really cool if it was a game that was truly open world, where
The whole world.
the entire world? It would be just wonderful. No, I just mean, like, wouldn't it be cool? There are a lot of things in X-Men that allow you to teleport and stuff. It'd be really easy to make a game where you can go into different machines and things that would let you go to major locales, and you could have, you have a full operating X-Mansion. I don't think we've ever had that, where like you can go into every room and you can operate Cerebro, and you can use the Danger Room, and you could use the Danger Room to train for different missions. You could maybe even use the Danger Room to go to places the game wouldn't otherwise let you go to. There's a lot of cool stuff you can do there. You use it like a holodeck, and then you have, like we said earlier, the Savage Land, and you have
Magneto's moon base.
Yeah, and you have what's the big island utopia for mutants? Like, there's a bunch of different locales that would be really cool to do. But I don't know what exactly I would want story-wise for a game like that, but it seems like a big missed opportunity if we never do it. Because it could be just massive and epic.
It could be really cool. Yeah, I remember X-Men Legends, you could walk through the mansion quite a bit, but you couldn't, like, Danger Room and Cerebro and stuff. But yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd be down for that if that was released. I wouldn't even care if there was a story. Just let me run around in the X-Men universe.
Daniel Davis says the Danger Room could also be used to play some earth-shattering mini-games. Yeah, sure. Genosha is what I was trying to think of.
Well, it could be a great way to do the tutorials, because you're literally practicing and figure out how to play.
Okay, I lied. That's not actually what I want. That's a cool game. That like what I'm talking about, like a real traditional X-Men game. Or you could even adapt something more out of continuity. You could do House of M that way. You could do a House of M game that's big open world. I didn't even think of that until just now. You know what I really want though, right? Old Man Logan, man. You do the
road trip game?
Yeah, the road trip game. Yeah, absolutely. And it would be like Mad Max meets the X-Men. It'd be fantastic.
Is that a genre of games? I don't know if I've played any road trip games.
There are certainly open world games where you go to places by vehicle primarily.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. I'm with them though. Superhero games need more mini games. Did you ever play in the original Spider-Man? They had Spider-Man bowling as a mini game.
Really?
It was amazing. You swing down the lane and knock over as many pins as you can. It was so fun. That was the 2002 Spider-Man game for GameCube, and I assume the PlayStation 1 buying it for GameCube. Super fun.
That sounds hilarious. Yeah, I've never been a big mini game guy, but I could be won over, sure.
All right, let's go back to some pre-writtens. We have Enemographic. What do you think the odds of the MCU X-Men will be any different from Fox, and how too little too late are we? So kind of related to the last one.
Real quick, the game I was trying to think of, something like Borderlands or Fallout with Old Man Logan. That's what you do. I haven't played those, but I know something about them. So something like that. Would you ask that question one more time?
Yeah. Basically, just how different do you think they'll be from the Fox X-Men, which you kind of mentioned, and is it too little too late at this point? Do you think they can?
No, not at all. But I think you just have to introduce it with a new flavor. I'm not convinced that a straight-up X-Men movie is the way to go to start it. I almost think that you should work your way backwards and start with a solo movie for somebody. I don't know who. There is an audience for a solo Cyclops movie, but I don't know if that's like a big moneymaker right away. But it would be fun if we started with that, just to say we're not going to shaft him. He's getting a character piece. His first movie is going to be all him. It's a character piece. Or even like the Cyclops Jean Grey movie or something. But I think movies with just X-Men in the title now, because of the last two, we're turning people off under Fox. We had the same argument when Spider-Man was rebooted in the MCU, when people said, well, it's too late. It's too late because we tried to reboot and it didn't work. And it's too early to reboot now because we just had a flop. But it was in the MCU, and the MCU had a street cred, and it really had street cred when Homecoming came out. So the question is, would it be like that? And does the MCU have the same, is there the same consumer confidence in it that there was when Homecoming came out. Obviously, Avengers Endgame was huge and almost broke all the records, but unfortunately doesn't look like it's going to catch Avatar. I still can't believe that. It just makes me want to stab myself in the face. But it doesn't look like it's going to happen. And at least at least it doesn't look like, relative to, Money Now versus Money Then, it doesn't look like it's going to make it. So that kind of sucks. But anyway, but there is a lot of question about how much people are going to remain as stoked for the MCU moving forward with certain characters that won't be there anymore, and without the anticipation for certain things that have already happened, namely Thanos and namely the end of some of those character stories. So it may not be the same story now moving forward, but I think it could be. I think it could be a similar story with Spider-Man. Maybe you could reboot next year or the year after. They're not doing that. They're going to take their time, or they've said that anyway. But next year or the year after, let's say they decided to go ahead and rush an X-Men movie out, would it have more credibility than it did under Fox? Absolutely. Would it be $1 billion movie? Probably not. They probably have to do one to gain people's interest again, and then do it again. If it were me, I would backdoor it with a solo character before you went to a team movie.
Gotcha. I'm going to jump back to Super Chats because we have a bunch, but then I'll switch back over. Mr. Roboto, Cap, 'tis this year's Superman Festival. Will you and fam go?
This year we're not going to be able to make the Superman celebration. Is that what we're talking about, Metropolis?
I'm assuming. He just said.
Yeah, and I haven't been in a few years, actually. It's funny because I've been to Metropolis 3 or 4 times since the last time I went to the Superman celebration, but I haven't been there for the celebration. We've got too many other trips and things to make this year, so I'm not going to be able to do it. But maybe next year. I haven't even checked to see what the guest list is. I made the mistake of not going last year, and James Marsters was there, and that really upset me that I didn't go. So I should check the guest list and just make absolutely certain that A, there's nobody there I want to see, and B, if there is, that I'm not just already booked up that weekend. I may try to go, but I'm not planning on it right now.
Gotcha. Here is another super chat.
And actually, now you say that, is that maybe next weekend or the weekend after? I think it's in June. I think we might actually be right up on it. So I almost certainly am not going this year. I think we're actually running it right up on it. I don't think it's this weekend, but I think we're running right up on it. If it was this weekend, I definitely couldn't go. I'm going to be on my way back to Kansas from here.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't know it was that close. Here's another perfect super chat and X-Men related from random reviewer. I'm curious about your thoughts on the Wolverine and the X-Men series. No one ever talks about that show, not even diehard X-Men fans.
Yeah, thanks, man. That does not come up very much. I got a comment about that for a couple weeks ago from Malik, who was talking it up really hard and said that he finally watched through all of it and that it was worth watching. I watched the pilot twice over like 5 years. Like I watched it when it came out and I wasn't impressed with it, and I tried to watch it again and I was like, this is kind of dull, and I couldn't get excited about it. But apparently it gets better, so I've got it. I just haven't sat down and watched it, so I don't have any thoughts past the pilot. I remember thinking the animation was okay, but that the pacing was real off. I think at the time I also just didn't like the premise. And I'm very used to the notion of Wolverine being put in a position where he has to be a leader even when he doesn't want to, and he has to lead the X-Men. So I don't really have a problem, especially these days, with going back and watching a thing where Wolverine is the main focal point, because we live in a topsy-turvy world now, DJ, where like Wolverine is not the first thing people think of when they think of X-Men anymore. Now, you might think it's Deadpool. That's not true either. I think there are a lot of people who Deadpool's the first thing people think of when they think of Deadpool. I think Deadpool is a thing that a lot of people kind of forget is related to X-Men, or they think of as only tangentially related to X-Men. But he is, as a property, or at least has been recently, more popular than the X-Men on the whole as a thing, especially cinematically. So when people think of X-Men, they think of the team, they think of their favorite character just within that group before they think of Wolverine now. Or maybe they still think of Wolverine, but they just think of X-Men as a dead property they don't care about ever since Days of Future Past, right? You know, they think of like Wolverine as a thing and X-Men as a thing and Deadpool as a completely unrelated thing. And not necessarily Wolverine. So I mentioned that to say that because Wolverine's not in my face all the time, and there's not 19 books about Wolverine at Marvel, and he's not the only thing we sell X-Men on anymore, I don't mind going back and watching a whole show about Wolverine. That's totally cool. So I should do that soon. I'm like this sometimes. I don't know what it says about me. I don't know if this is a good thing, but sometimes I get more interested in things when nobody else cares. Like, I should go back and sit down and watch like the MTV Spider-Man show. Nobody talks about that show. I've never watched all of it. I don't have to worry about anybody else's like expectations or like how great it's supposed to be in the back of my head because nobody talks about it. But it's always been difficult to finish Spectacular because I know it's supposed to be a masterpiece. And I watched the first season. I really like it. But I've just never gotten around to watching the rest of it because everybody tells me it's absolutely brilliant. So I just have this, like, I'm afraid I'll have these blinders where it's like it's supposed to be brilliant. And I know it ends on a cliffhanger. And I've been saving it because I don't really want that experience again of like the 4,400 thing where you get to the end of the season and you go, yeah, I mean, I knew there wasn't going to be any more, but still it put a harpoon in my chest.
Yeah. But going along right along with that, we got a super chat from Pandora. You should watch the
Let's
anime.
open Pandora's box.
You should watch the anime X-Men series. It's great. So
I have it. I've got the 4-pack that Walmart put out. That what is it? It's X-Men. It's Wolverine. Because again, they're separate things. See, they're not even they're separate things. Blade
and Iron Man of all things.
Is Iron Man the other one? And I heard it's boring. That's all I've heard about that. I heard the Blade one's pretty cool, and I haven't heard a lot about the other two. So I keep meaning to put those. Actually, last week I almost put one of those on while I was tagging comics, but then I was like, well, I'm going to pay more attention to it. So I keep putting things on the background that I don't have to talk about. But I do want to do that. You know, it's got to have my undivided attention if I'm going to talk about it.
That's true. Oh, you'll like that next super chat, but I'm going to jump over to some pre-writtens. More.
Yeah, thanks, man. We have about 20 minutes or so left, folks. Right, I feel like we've knocked out quite a bit already.
Yeah, we're rolling. We're doing great.
Nice, and thanks for all the X-Men questions. I'm surprised we've never done this theme show, and I just thought, Dark Phoenix just came out. It's funny because we said last week we're going to do Dark Phoenix spoilers next week. I didn't say we'd do an X-Men theme show. I set up X-Men theme show. Almost no Dark Phoenix spoilers at all. Nobody's hardly brought it up.
Yeah, I don't think it's a movie that people are like itching to spoil. I think we just more want to talk about the state of the franchise because of it.
Okay, but if anybody wants to, there are stupid things I would love to make fun of. Man, that thing with Nightcrawler in the third act. It's hilarious. Anyway, go ahead.
All right, so here we go from the Ponderer. He says, I think it's a given the MCU won't reboot X-Men for at least 3 to 5 years. Do you think spending that long with Dark Phoenix and Apocalypse as the final notes of the franchise will hurt the brand?
I don't. Because, I think it would hurt the brand if Fox wanted to put another movie out. Not to be a broken record, but I think a lot of this is about consumer confidence. There are still plenty of people that are interested in that property, and people can be fickle, absolutely, but people don't have such a short memory that they don't remember Logan was brilliant, and they don't remember Days of Future Past was a wonderful epic and a lot of fun. That was only 5 years ago. Logan was only 4 years ago, and I think even if it's 8 or 9 years after those movies come out, and there were a couple of crappy X-Men movies in between, I don't think it's gonna necessarily taint it so that people don't want a new one. And that's about how long it's gonna be a little bit less, but it was 7 or 8 years between Batman and Robin before you got to Batman Begins. And putting a few years in between Apocalypse and that wouldn't be a bad thing. But I also submit that if the flavor felt right and it was characters people were excited about, and I'm going to go this far: if you threw fans at least a bone, because you can win other people over, right? Like I've always said this: if the reviews are good and it's MCU, and a lot of people like MCU, you can win people over even if they're not already X-Men fans. As we always say, look at Guardians. Nobody would have cared about that, but it looked like a fun movie, so people went, and then the reviews were good. Just throw in the 90s X-Men theme song. Just throw that in the movie, give it something like that flavor, and you could put it out next year, and I think it would make money. So I don't think a few years. I don't think those movies are gonna like stick in anybody's craw to the point where, or like be in your mouth where you can't wash the taste out, to the point where nobody's gonna care about another X-Men movie, even if entirely different people are making it, because there's still I think there's still enough interest in that brand, but I also think not enough people saw those movies. So
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
How many people do you hear say that was a terrible movie and you can just sort of tell they never watched it? You know, that happens with stuff all the time. And that's not me taking up for Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix, but I mean, Apocalypse didn't make its money back, and Dark Phoenix isn't going to make enough money to buy a hamburger. So,
did you look at the numbers?
No, I've not seen them. You got to tell me, what are they?
I'll tell you about them. It is 32 million was opening, the lowest of any X-Men movie by $20 million, and that's not counting inflation. Just
shades of insane.
It's insane. It was the Wolverine was the second one, and it's 20 million less than the Wolverine. That's
like accounting for inflation. That's Catwoman numbers.
That's what I'm saying. Like, no one even saw it, so I don't know how people are.
No.
Gonna be
So, like, how's it going to taint it that hard? Does this happen? Or people like, I heard that movie was so bad, I'm not going to see the next one that looks like a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Unless they think it's connected. Again, if Fox made a movie, yeah, absolutely, but it's not Fox.
Yeah, I saw a video where they were comparing. They made a chart with two line charts. One was the critic rating, the Rotten Tomato rating, and one was the box office. And it looks like the audience has been trained. They've been burned too many times. Like the opening box office for like X3 and Wolverine was way up here, and then the critic rating was way down here. And now it looks like they're getting smarter because the one for Apocalypse and the one for Dark Phoenix, they were right next to each other. Like,
yeah,
box office was way down, and they listened to the critics on those. So I think.
Let me also say that Dark Phoenix might not have done the numbers it did if it was a good movie, but if it had been great, it still may not have made its money back. Because this happens a lot when you come right off the heels of a real mediocre or crappy movie, right? I always said that even if Nemesis, Star Trek, had been really good, it probably doesn't do great numbers because people hated Insurrection, and it didn't come out late enough. I'll use Star Trek as an example. Again, Beyond came out, had really good critical reception. A lot of people loved that movie, still bombed at the box office because Star Trek Into Darkness, for whatever reason, was highly anticipated and people didn't like it. And so that movie bombed, and Beyond is, to a lot of people, including myself, the only movie they made that feels like a real Star Trek movie. And it bombed. And some people say, well, see, they made real Star Trek, so it bombed. Nah, if Darkness had been liked and had done better at the box office, it would have done better as well. So yeah, there's that to keep in mind. But again, that's not me taking up for Dark Phoenix, because it did as poorly as it did, because it also really kind of sucked.
Okay, jumping back to Super Chats. Not a question, but I'm sure you have something to say about this. Dave Atkins says, Sonic Mania 2 can't come fast enough.
That's true. Has there been news about that? Was that brought up at E3? Is that happening?
I don't know.
I haven't looked this up. If that's actually news, I'm surprised I didn't hear about it yet. Nobody sent it to me. Somebody let me know in the comments. It was Sonic Mania 2 announced, and I don't love it if that's the title. I would love it if we weren't putting numbers on that, and if it got different. But it was very popular, and I understand why you would want to keep that as like a franchise brand, I guess. But anyway, if that got announced, I'm very excited. If not, I still agree with you. It can't come soon enough. Go ahead. I was playing that just today.
Oh, awesome. Stay tuned, guys, for fall 2019 when we bring back our show, Morphin Mania 2. Not actually.
We never finished one. Don't say that.
Well, that was one.
10 minutes, folks.
I'm going to go through these Super Chats quick. We have one from the Vampire Diaries. With Legion's final season coming soon. Wow, that was kind of Dr. Seussy. I got lost. With Legion's final season coming soon, is there any chance we could get a series overview sometime in the near future?
I don't want to promise anything. I do want to finally sit down and watch through that show. And like I said earlier, with other stuff, with Wolverine and the X-Men and whatever other show I brought up when I said this, I want to be able to give it my undivided attention. And that is a very complex, very trippy, very mind-bendy show. And I need to basically put my head in some kind of a machine that doesn't allow it to move in any direction but the screen when I'm watching that show. So I don't want to promise anything. I would like to talk about that. It could be if not a whole series overview, it could be in seasons. It could be just a spoiler cast or how I felt about on each of those things. I'm starting to get more comfortable with going back to things that are a little older and still go ahead and do like a how I felt about or a spoiler cast, just so that I've talked about them. And those seem to do okay. People seem to like those. And I would love to do a lot more written analysis, of course. And I don't want to do that stuff overwritten analysis, but that kind of thing takes a really long time. And so to be able to just sit down and weigh in after I've watched a thing, people want me to watch this stuff anyway. It doesn't take that long to just sit down and talk about it. So when folks sometimes going, well, Cap, why are you wasting all this time making off the cuff stuff when you could be writing Rewind? Because it takes a fraction of the time, and I'm probably also working on a Rewind in the background slowly but surely. So that's, people ask me that all the time. That's the answer to that, but I would like to watch Legion, if not talk about it. So yeah.
I think you will love that first season. As much as we share sensibilities with like multiple personalities and stuff, I think you'll love it. I really love that first season.
I love that pilot. It blew me away. I thought it was absolutely brilliant. I wish I was watching it on the big screen because the special effects were worthy of it.
Oh, it continues too. It's amazing.
Oh boy, I can't wait. I didn't know you watched that show.
I love it. Me and Jeffrey talk about it all the time. It's really good. $2 super chat from Dave Atkins. Thoughts? Oh, I don't know what you're going to have to say about this. Thoughts on E3 overall?
I don't know yet. I've not looked at it very much at all. I saw those two trailers. That's what I've seen. That's what I know. Okay.
Well, he asked about Keanu Reeves and Xbox, etc. But
yeah, I just haven't had a chance to look at it. I've been on vacation. People have sent me a few things. I did see that. I don't know anything about it, but everybody's saying it looks awesome.
Cool.
So yeah, can you guys give me just a second? I want to read a couple of questions that I'm seeing just popping up. Mutale asked if I'm still watching The Leftovers. I forgot all about that show, and I don't have an HBO subscription anymore, so I'm not, but I want to. It was really interesting. A little slow going at the beginning. It has like a 100% like Rotten Tomatoes and Metacritic and everywhere. Like everybody says it's brilliant. So I want to sit down and finish that. It looked like it could get brilliant, and apparently it does. Nicholas Robinson says, will you keep Backyard Super Kid? Yeah. That's not going anywhere until I get like a cease and desist order from Justin Roberts or something. Because I mean, I've used that song forever. I had a brief period. That's the theme song to Superhero Rewind. I had a brief period where I changed to something else, and I got like lambasted. So
I remember that.
Back. But you can go back and hear the song I changed it to in the 10,000 subscriber video where I jumped out of an airplane.
Oh yeah, check that out, guys, because it's awesome.
Okay. Anyway,
Utah just said Captain Logan Far From Home, which I think is hilarious.
that is pretty funny. I'm not that far from home though. I was pretty far from home a couple years ago when I went to Germany, but right now I'm only 3.5 hours from home, which doesn't roll off the tongue as well, and doesn't sound like a premise that anybody would really want to see.
We have one more super chat. It's kind of a fun one from Roboto. Keeps messing with me. DJ, as you are in the MCU, will you be at the signing at cons? No, they haven't called me.
I dare you.
I should just walk up. I couldn't afford to get into the place. But no, won't be there. Thanks, Mr. Roboto. Sure.
You know what we should do though? We should go to a con together. We should set up a Geevolution booth, and we should make like a really big sign, like DJ Martinez, and then have a screenshot. We can prove it. He was in there. You're gonna want his autograph, and then you should give autographs for like $1.99.
we could see if we could hype it up enough to get people actually tricked into thinking I'm somebody. But yeah, that's our
no. In big block letters, it should be The Welder.
I'll make a logo for myself, a comic booky logo.
You guys knew, yeah, you should, and it would be great. People would pay just for the logo, and it should be like we should tell people like, you know how there were a lot of like villain cameos in that movie. You ever heard of The Welder? No, he's obscure. Okay, he's like early 60s, and he popped up like just after what's that gang with like Ox and those guys? He shows up just after. Yeah, the Enforcers. He shows up just after the Enforcer. In fact, he was a villain that tried to get in the Enforcers.
I was the fifth Enforcer.
He was too D-list to even get in the Enforcers. Okay, and you've probably never heard of him. He was in like 2 panels, but this guy played him. and he's going to be big. Like they established set him up, and he's going to show up later.
Oh yeah,
he's the Welder.
Got history with the protagonist. We went to high school together. It's going to be a whole thing. Oh, another super chat. Thanks for getting us off that topic, David. $5 super chat. Cat.
Does that make you uncomfortable? Because it makes me want to keep going.
No, you can do whatever you want. I should. I thought about. So I'm not.
It's not the Welder show.
The Welder appeared at the high school dance, but they cut it out of the movie. It's in the deleted scenes. I thought about posting that in the
man,
society.
you should.
I'll post it in the secret society and see what you guys think of that scene.
Real quick for folks that don't know what we're talking about, let's do another plug for the SSSS, the Secret Superhero Screen Society. DJ, what is the Secret Superhero Screen Society?
It is a fantastic group that we're having a lot of fun with. If you want to talk to Cap or me or Dan or Eric, everybody's in there. It's at the $5 tier, Patreon. Just join at that tier, and you can hop in there and chat with us. It's pretty much every day. I don't think the day goes by that we're not talking about something in there. So
yeah, and you'll have a direct line to me if you want to talk about superhero screen stuff.
Yeah, anything superhero related. So I recommend it. It's a lot of fun.
That's what we do.
Anyway, David sends us a $5 super chat. Cap, being away from home right now, as you are, if you start to miss it too much, someone should take you back. Take you back.
Yeah, he's referencing the I Want to Go to Church song. I have now recorded the parody to I Want to Go to Church. It's called Go the F to Church. It's a direct response. That's what he should do. It's not that hard. Go to church. And if you'd like to hear Go the F Church, you can become a patron at the $2 level, and that will get you access to that parody. That's where it is right now. I may eventually make it public somewhere. I'm a little bit concerned about the guy who made that song finding it and being angry with me, but I had a lot of fun with that and a lot of great response. And that, unfortunately, because I made that parody, that song has been stuck in my head for the last week. So I guess the joke was on me. But that's where that is, yeah. Right. Just a couple minutes left. Do you have any other good pre-written questions, or do we have any super chats we missed?
We have no more super chats, but I can grab a couple pre-written.
Cool. We got about 5 minutes.
There's something people like to talk about. Do you think Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool will appear in films with the MCU's X-Men cast?
Hard to say. I mean, I think it's a foregone conclusion that Ryan Reynolds will continue to play him. I mean, Reynolds has come out and said it's going to be different, whatever that means. I kind of hate it when people say that because it doesn't tell you anything. They're just like, watch out, it's going to be different. Well, in a good way, in a bad way. Even if you said it was in a good way, I wouldn't believe you. You're playing the guy, you know. But you know, you got to say that. You got to get excited even if you're not. It's hard to believe that Ryan Reynolds wouldn't walk away from the role unless he's stuck in a contract somehow, even though, I don't know, like if Disney buys Fox and he's in a contract, is everybody still stuck in the contracts they were stuck in? Like, I don't know how any of that works. But unless he's stuck in a contract, I would think that if he thinks that what they're doing is without integrity for the character and what they created and what he wants it to be, he would probably walk away from it. But that's still, I don't know. I'm not sure what he would do. So I'm assuming he's still going to play it. And it would be a little bit weird if we continued to do this, like, Deadpool apart from the X-Men continuity, but still sort of pretending like it's in that thing when they have the rights to X-Men. But if they do the multiversal thing, he could also come from even another universe. And I could see them doing almost like a comedy Marvel universe where all the jokey characters come from, besides the ones they have already, but the more fourth wall breaking characters. So I mean, they've already got Howard the Duck. I don't know if they'll ever use him, but just a more jokey characters, like they could bring in Gwenpool and they could bring in, somebody brought up Squirrel Girl earlier, and characters like that. And if those all came from their own universe, it would be easier to have an internal logic for that stuff instead of just going, okay, now every movie that they're in has to have characters acting out of character and being zany because it's their movie and everybody else is just living in it. I don't know if I really want a like Marvel Bizarro world, but it would be a way to do it to make it make more sense at the very least. Yeah, I would like. I'm not a big fan of the Deadpool movies on the whole, but I do really like how X-Men they are. Like they just feel like they're in the X-Men universe. It's just like the news people just come up and like, oh, the X-Men are in this building, or Juggernaut's running around. Like I would love an X-Men universe that those movies could fit right into. And Dark Phoenix tried to open, I got to give it credit for this, with that kind of a status quo. It's just that they did it just so they could reverse it real fast. Oh, can I talk about spoilers? Okay, this is spoilers for Dark Phoenix for the three people who care that haven't got to see it yet. And those three people probably aren't here. I mean, three people in the world that probably aren't here tonight. I have to mention the Nightcrawler thing because there are other silly spoilers I could talk about with that. We're about out of time, but I did mention Nightcrawler earlier. DJ, I got to tell you what to do with Nightcrawler.
Okay, I love Nightcrawler. So can't wait.
I do too. Now, the first thing to say is they don't do anything with Nightcrawler, but he gets like a moment at the end where they're fighting all these shape-shifting aliens on a train, which should have been the name of the movie, right? Is shape-shifting aliens on a train. And Nightcrawler's fighting them. Well, all the X-Men are fighting them. And some like human guard, just a totally no-name, nothing character, gets murdered by one of these shape-shifting aliens, and Nightcrawler just loses his mind and starts murdering these aliens. What? And it's like his moment. It's like, you killed a person, and they just like, it wasn't a person they knew. They're like, I don't know if there was something cut out or if this was just, oh wait, we forgot about Nightcrawler until just now. And he's like, so he just loses. It's like, I guess Nightcrawler's prevailing character trait is that he has regard for life, and he's like not a bigot because he cares about human beings. So one random human gets killed. And it's like somebody killed. It's like he was John Wick and his dog died. The way he acts in that scene, okay? It's hilarious. I just lost it. And that was the.
So that's the only thing he has to do?
Yeah, that's it. That's his big moment.
He had one moment in Apocalypse.
A moment. What's that?
He had one moment in Apocalypse. They give him one moment in each movie.
Why is he even in them?
I don't know. He
Somebody said. It's because is that what it was? Ponderer says it's because the guard says his son is a Nightcrawler fan, but it's still stupid. Yeah, that almost makes it worse. Oh man, you can. So it's to boot. It's an ego thing. You can't even like sympathize with it. It's like, oh man, you killed the father of a fan of mine.
Something very similar just happened in. I'm playing through the DLC for Spider-Man, and something. And eerily similar just happened that is exactly like that with Spider-Man. He didn't go crazy, but
hilarious.
One of his.
Did we have anything else that was just like a question or like super prevalent where like we just have to tackle it?
I don't have anything.
A lot of time.
Super chats are gone. You want to do one more pre-written, or you just want to call it a night?
We can do one more if you got one.
I got one fun one. We'll do a fun
cool.
One. This is like a 2011 era Geeks Not Nerds. Which mutant power would you like to have?
Which mutant power would I personally like to have? I want Wolverine's healing factor, regardless of all the horrible things that it plagues him with in his life. Like I don't want, I would want it, but with luck, right? I would want a combination.
So Domino and X.
I do a combination. That's what I was going to say. Domino and Wolverine is what I would want. Just everything, like the universe coalesces to my will, and I have healing factor. Yeah, that would be wonderful. That's what I would want. What would you want?
Are you like accident prone? Like why would you want that? Just so you can live longer?
So I can live longer. Okay. That'd be the main thing.
You don't want to live too long. You want like a Tuck Everlasting type thing going on.
I think I could deal with it.
Well, interesting. That's a topic for another day. I don't know. I've always wanted like shape-shifting. I don't know why though. I just think it would be cool. But I think I don't want a power that would like be tempting to use. Like that's a good one because you wouldn't be tempted to use your healing factor for evil,
Not as much. Yeah, maybe if I had claws, I'd be tempted to use those for evil. I was like, hey, that pissed me off. The problem with shapeshifting is it would be hard to use it legally.
Yeah, it would be too deceptive.
You'd be like, oh, I'm impersonating a cop. That's illegal. Oh, I'm impersonating my best friend. That's kind of a violation. Oh, I'm pretending to be the president. That's also illegal. Like, I can't think of a lot of situations where it would be either illegal or make someone you cared about angry.
Yeah. I think what I would want personally, and it's kind of a selfish thing, it wouldn't help anybody, but and I don't even know if it's a mutant power.
Mine was pretty selfish too, to be perfectly honest with you. Yeah, go ahead.
I don't know if it's a mutant power, but I just want Spider-Man's like agility power. I don't know if a mutant has that. I mean, every mutant has that in.
There's a lot of mutants
they all
that
jump around, but I don't know if specifically someone has that. But that would help me a lot because I train a lot and
whose mutant power?
Do a lot of stuff.
Of course, yeah. Whose mutant power is to jump around, jump.
But no, that would help me with my sports endeavors a lot. So that would be great.
Guys, last week we had a goal and we met it. And the prize for the goal was for me to make another show this week, another Captain Logan show, a bonus Captain Logan show. I'm going to do another one for you. Tentatively, it's going to be this Friday night. Now, that could change, but right now the plan is Friday night, a little later in the evening, probably more like 8 o'clock. And again, that's tentative too. That time could change, and I'll try to let you know during the day if possible. If that time changes, I've got a lot of stuff going on with the family. We're in Branson. We're going to shows, and we're going to arcades, and we're doing all kinds of things. So my wife and I are pretty sure that I can carve out an hour that night. And DJ was going to attempt to also make it that night. So we're going to meet Friday. If that changes, I'll let you know. It definitely will be, if not then, Saturday or Sunday. Won't be before that. Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Almost definitely Friday. Like 85, 90% sure right now. That's going to happen. And we are going to have a goal that night.
No.
And some of you guys already know what it is, but I'm not going to mention it here. If you saw the show last week, this is the hint. If you saw the show last week, there was a crazy thing I said I would do if I might do if I met a goal. And we have looked into what it would cost, and I am willing to try it. And we're going to do that goal on Friday. Yeah.
What a tease.
Indeed. Anyway, I got to get going. My family just showed back up. They're going to walk in here at any second. I'm going to go ahead and get going. Everybody, thanks a lot for watching. Hope you had a good time. DJ, I hope you had a good time.
I did. It was great. Great show tonight.
And thanks again for watching. I'm Captain Logan. This was DJ Martinez.
That's me.
Later, folks. Bye, everybody.